others the video? See how you did? Alright, so if I want to leave this in radical form, what I'm looking for is what is the biggest perfect square that will go evenly into 8, okay? Or even is 8 a perfect square? So to check this, I want to do run through a few perfect squares with you. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9. That's enough. I don't need to list any more because 9 is bigger than 8. I'm looking for it to go into 8, so it's got to be smaller than 8, so it's going to be one of these. 1 will go into everything, so that doesn't really help me. So my question is, will 4 go into 8? Yes, 4 will go into 8 2 times. So the square root of 8 is the same as the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. Now, what was the whole point in that? Well, 4 is a perfect square. What's the square root of 4? 2. So this is going to be the same as 2. Square root of 4 simplifies to 2. Square root of 2 cannot simplify. 2 is just 2 times 1, and that doesn't break down any. So square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 2 stays square root of 2. So square root of 8 is the same as 2 square root of 2. Alright, so yesterday we started on factoring, solving quadratics by factoring. That's still where we are right now. So we're picking up on solving quadratics by factoring. Okay, solving quadratics by factoring. So just start us off with something easy because we're going to have some more complicated ones before we get done today. If I had x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0. Directions say to solve by factoring. Alright, first thing, before I can solve by factoring, and just a reminder, we solved yesterday by factoring, by graphing, and by taking square roots. Okay? If I'm going to solve by factoring, I need to be in standard form. I need to be set equal to 0. So is this one ready? Is it in standard form? Is it equal to 0? Yes, so it's good to go. Everybody, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. It's good to go. So after we figure that out, we take our a and we multiply it by our c. Whoops, need a marker on that, don't we? A times c. What's my a? So 1 times, what's my c? 1 times 2 is 2. So a times c is 2, right? Now that's easy because there's not very many factors of 2. My factors of 2, I could be 1 times 2. I could also be negative 1 times negative 2. Both of those pairs would multiply to make a positive 2, wouldn't they? Okay, what is our b in this equation? 3. So I need that pair that adds to 3. Well, 1 plus 2 equals 3. Negative 1 plus negative 2 is negative 3. So it's got to be that one. Okay? This is a trinomial, 1, 2, 3 terms. A trinomial always factors as 2 binomials. X squared has to be x times x. Then I have my factors over here where a positive 1 and a positive 2. Okay? So if the directions just said to factor, you would be done. You factored it. But we're solving quadratics, so we've got to go a couple of steps farther to solve both of those factors. Just set them individually equal to 0. X plus 1 equals 0. So negative 1 is one of our answers. X plus 2 equals 0. So negative 2 is our other answer. That's it. It's funny because out of the classes yesterday, y'all were the worst at factoring. But it hits you overnight. Hits it now. Alright, let's look at this thing. We got it? I got what you need there? This one says x squared minus 11x plus 18 equals 0.
Is it ready to factor first off? Yep, it's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So it's ready. What do I get when I multiply 8 times c? 18. David's got a 1 times 18. Now we're fixing to do some here in just a minute where our a is not going to be 1. The factor it is a little bit more complicated then. Okay, but for right now, 1 times 18 gets us an 18. I need my factors of 18, and since I see I've got a b that's negative, I'm going to need to make sure I list my positives and my negatives. I could have 1 times 18. To make this a positive 18, they both have to, on the negative side, they would both have to be negative, right? Okay, then I could have 2 times 9. Then I could have negative 2 and negative 9. There is another pair. I could do my 3s and 6s, but I found my winner already, hadn't I? Doesn't one of these add to negative 11? Right there, right? Okay. So, trinomial makes factors to 2 binomials. To get an x squared, it's got to be an x and an x. I add a minus 2 and a minus 9. Well, we're not done with this one, but in a second we can set both of these equal to 0. Gets me x is 2. And x is 9. That's it. Okay. Alright, everybody got what you need on that page? Feeling good in the hood?
Yeah.
This one says x squared plus x minus 20 equals 0. See if you can do that one by yourself. Go. Yes, ma'am. How'd we do? Pretty simple. Is it standard form ready to go? Hello, is it standard form ready to go? Yep, been nice to you so far. What's a times c? Negative 20. Good. So to make it negative 20 when I multiply, they got to be different signs. One's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. So you can have a 1 and a negative 20, or a negative 1 and a 20. You could have a 2 and a negative 10, or a negative 2 and a 10. You could have a 4 and a negative 5, or a negative 4 and a 5. That's all my factors of negative 20. My b is a what? 1, a positive 1. So there's only one way out of this to make a positive 1. Right there, right? Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. So I'm going to have x minus 4, x plus 5, which gives me 4. And negative 5. So there's my two answers. Now what Rose was talking about, does it matter what order you put them in? Either way. You put them in either order. I thought I was going to tell you, and it left me. What would I have been thinking about on that one? Don't even know that. Alright, well, let's get a little bit more complicated now. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. What if I had been, this had said 2x. What if this had said x squared plus 2x minus 20 equals 0? I listed my a times c is still negative 20. Do any of these add to positive 2? No. So that's when I would know that it's not factorable, and I'd have to use one of the other methods that we're going to learn later in the week. Okay? Everybody with me on that? Alright. This one says 2x squared. Uh-oh, that's different. Minus 11x equals negative 15. So, uh-oh, that's different as well. I have two different things in there. First thing, my a is not 1 anymore. Second thing, it's not in standard form yet. Okay, so I need to get it into standard form. So it needs to be equal to 0, which means I need to turn a negative 15 into a 0. I don't have a magic 1, so what do? Very good, Courtney. I'm going to add it to both sides. So when I do that, I get 2x squared minus 11x plus 15 equals 0. Alright, now, when your a is not 1, you need to look and see if there's a GCF, a greatest common factor, that you... When your a is not 1, you need to look and see if there's a GCF, a greatest common factor, you can take out of all that. So I got 2, negative 11, and 15. Do they have anything in common I can divide out of that other than 1? No. No. So I'm stuck with a 2 there, which is bad news for factoring because it's a little bit harder. When your a is not 1, it's called factoring by grouping that we're fixing to have to do, and it takes a little bit longer. It's still easy, but it's not like one step like that last one was. Still start off the same way. You do your a times c, which this time it's 2 times 15. So our a times c is 30, right? Hello? Alright, factors of 30. That could be 1 and 30. That could be negative 1 and negative 30. If you already know the ones you're looking for, you don't have to go through this list every time. Okay, but I'm doing it because we're still new here. 3 and 10, negative 3 and negative 10. 5 and 6, negative 5 and negative 6. So all my factors are 30. Do any of those add to my b, which is negative 11?
Yes.
Good. That last pair I listed down there. All right. Now before, we just split that up and we made it, don't write this, we made it like this. We said x and x.
That needs to be 1.
Well, right. Somewhere there's going to have to be a 2 to make a 2x, but we don't know where yet. Okay, so this is where the process becomes a little bit different. Since negative 5 and negative 6 add to negative 11, right? I'm going to take 11 out, and I'm going to plug in what adds to it. Substitute. Okay, so I'm going to say 2x squared, but instead of a minus 11x, I'm going to have a minus, all right, this is where I'm thinking ahead of y'all. It does not matter what order you put them in, but I know 2 and 6 have something in common, so I'm going to put the minus 6x first. And I know 5 and 15 have something in common, so that 5 will be by the 15. Okay? Y'all kind of dig that a little bit? Alright, so all we did, and I drew the arrow over there, I should have drawn it over here. All we did was took the 11 out, but negative 6 and negative 5 give me negative 11. So it's still the same value, right? Okay, I told you this was factoring by grouping, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, I'm going to group them in pairs. Okay, that first group, it says 2x squared minus 6x. I need to take the greatest common factor out of that. 2x squared and 6x have something in common. 2 and something other than the 2. What else do they both have? An x, right? They both got at least an x, right? So I'm going to divide this first group by 2x. Okay, this was 2x squared. I took the 2 out, and I took one of the x's out. All that's left after that is an x. Right? Everybody okay? Bring down my minus sign. This was a 6x. I divided the 2 out, so 6 divided by 2 is 3. And I took that x out. Right? Now look at that. If you were to go back and distribute, it'd be the same thing. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. It's just backwards distributive property, factoring, dividing. Now, in order for this whole stuff, this grouping stuff to work, I've got to be able to end up taking something out of this one that also leaves me with an x minus 3. So what do negative 5x and 15 have in common that when I take it away, it leaves me with x minus 3? They both don't have an x, so it's not x, but the 5 is right, but it needs to be a what, Macy? A negative 5. Okay, and here's why. If I divide that by negative 5, negative 5x divided by negative 5, negative by negative is a positive, leaves me with a positive x, and that's what I had over here, right? 15 divided by negative 5 is a negative 3.
I'm looking for where you got the x minus 3 in the first part. Like, I know you divided by 2. So
I divided by 2x. 2 divided by 2 is 1. X squared divided by x is x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. X divided by x is gone. It's 1. So if there was an x in there and I took it out, I can't put another one in here.
So the x that's with 2 is
Yep. It was the greatest common factor. They both had an x in common.
Oh, so the number that you're dividing them both by goes to the beginning of your parentheses? Oh, okay.
Alright, now looking at this big line where we are down here, if I go to that minus sign right there in the middle and I split that as 2 parts, both of these parts have something in common. What do both parts have in common? Don't they both have one of those? So I take that x minus 3 out. When I factored that out, what was left on this side? Just a 2x, right? When I took the x minus 3 over here away, what's left? Just a minus 5.
Why don't you just have one x minus 3?
That was the greatest common factor. Like when up here, look up here, when they both had a 2 in common, I only wrote the 2 once. When they both had a 5 in common, I only wrote the 5 once. Now they both have an x minus 3 in common. So I only wrote the x minus 3 once. Then when I took, it's like I took that x minus 3 away from this side, had 2x left. I took it also away from that side, I had a minus 5 left. Now I'm done factoring it. That's factored into 2 binomials, so that's that. But I got to solve them now. Okay, because remember we're trying to find where the quadratic crosses the x-axis. That first factor is easy to solve, just like the ones we've been having. X minus 3 equals 0, gets me a 3. The second one, 2x minus 5 equals 0, has another step involved this time because it's a 2x. We would still add the 5. 2x equals 5. Then what's our other step? What do we got to do?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. X would be 5/2, or you could write 2.5 if you want to.
2.5.
That's it. Let's try again. Try again. Alright, we got 3x squared minus 20x minus 7 equals 0. Okay, as it's written, it is in standard form, yes. Do all three of those have anything in common other than 1? No. If they do, we're going to factor it out in the beginning, but they don't because 3 won't go into 20, 7 won't go into 23, won't go into 7. They don't have anything in common. So from there, we take our a times c, which would be what? What's a times c? Negative 21, right? So my factors of negative 21, I could be 1 times negative 21, or I could be negative 1 times 21. I could be 3 times negative 7, or negative 3 times 7, and that's it. There's not any other factors of negative 21. What's my b? What do I need to add to? Negative 20. Do any of those add to negative 20? My first pair that I wrote does, right? Okay, since my a is not 1, we have to set this up by grouping. So, I'm going to say 3x squared plus 1x minus 21x minus 7 equals 0. I took my negative, my 1 and my negative 21, and since that's the same as negative 20, I replace negative 20 with them. David?
Where's the singular x?
1x, right here. 1x, negative 21x. Alright, now I've got 4 pieces, 4 terms. Once you get to 4 terms, you're going to group them 2 by 2, just like we're going in the arc. So I got that grouped up. Okay, after we get our 2 groups, you're looking to factor those 2 groups. So that first group says 3x squared plus x. What does 3x squared and x have in common? What do they share? 1x. So I'm going to put that x outside the parentheses. Then I'm going to divide everything in the parentheses by that. Okay?
Repeat that.
I'm going to put what they had in common, the x, outside the parentheses. Then I'm going to divide everything inside the parentheses by what they had in common. So 3x squared divided by x leaves me with just 3x. Bring down the plus sign. This is easy but tricky here. What's x divided by x? Okay, it does cancel out, but I gotta have something to go here. Somebody said it over here. 1, Gracie is right. Something divided by itself is 1. Okay. Moving to the second parentheses.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, where did that square go? Like x was squared, so how did you
What's
get rid of?
what's x squared divided by x?
Because it distributes out in the x squared.
Okay. Second parentheses, negative 21x minus 7.
Divided by negative 7.
They have a negative 7 in common, so that goes outside. I'm going to divide everything by that. What's negative 21x divided by negative 7? Negative 7, excuse me.
3x
3x, negative 7 divided by negative 7, positive 1.
So what they have in common always goes outside of the
Alright, now both, and if it maybe if I see two sides here, I've got a yellow side and a ugly color side. Okay, what do both of those sides now have in common, the two different colors?
3x plus 1.
Good, so I take the 3x plus 1 out. On the yellow side, when I took 3x plus 1 out, the only thing that was left was x. On the blue side, when I took 3x plus 1 out, the only thing left was negative 7. So there you factored it. It said factor, you would stop, but we're solving. So we got to go a couple of steps farther and solve both of those pieces now. David.
We just did.
The yellow and the blue side both had a 3x plus 1 in common, so I took it out. When I took 3x plus 1 away from the yellow, all that was left was an x. When I took 3x plus 1 away from the blue, all that was left was a negative 7. Alright, so when we solve both of those, have 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. Subtract my 1. 3x is negative 1. Divide by 3. We get negative 1/3. X minus 7 is 0. Gives me 7. So I've got negative 1/3 and 7. We're going to do some more. Yep. You got what you need on that one? Alright. Here I've got 3x squared equals 16x plus 12. Alright, is it in standard form ready to go? No, it's the farthest away one that we've seen so far. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, not equals to bx and c. A lot of people on this will say, well, I'll just move the 3x squared over there, because then I'll just have to move one thing and that'll be easier. But that's really not easier. When your a is negative, it's a little bit trickier. So I try to keep my a positive. So I want that 3x squared, since it's already positive, I want it to stay where it is. So it's the other side that I'm going to move over. How do I move a 16x over? Subtract it. How do I move a 12 over? Subtract it. Okay. Alright, y'all are going to tell me now. What do I do here? Okay, did you check for a GCF?
Can you divide by 3?
That's what I'm asking. Did you check for a GCF? I didn't say yes or no to her. I'm just asking. You got to check it. Okay, 3 doesn't go into 16. 3 go into 15 and 18, but it skips 16. But we do have to check that, so Gracie was looking for it. Alright, so 3 won't go in there, so now we're ready for what Macy was saying, which was?
Multiply a times c, so 3 times negative 12.
Which is?
Negative 36.
Okay. Factors of negative 36. Could be 1 and negative 36, or I could be negative 1 and 36. I could be 2 and negative 18. I'm stopping. That's my pair, isn't it? Okay, good on that? I could list them all. There's a lot more factors of 36, but I found my pair that adds to B. B is negative 16, so that's that. Okay. When I plug these in, because I'm going to substitute them in for 16, I want you to try to pay attention before you write them in there and make sure you get them in a good order. Because they can technically go in either order. Now remember, once we substitute them in there, then we're going to start taking factors out. So I've got this negative 2 and negative 18 are going to go in between the 3 and the 12. So 3 would be its best buddy with which one of these? I'd want the 3 to be next to the 18 because 3 and 18 have something in common. The 2 and the 12 have something in common, so I'd want them to be next to each other. Okay, that's kind of how I'm thinking as I write these. So I'm going to write 3x squared minus 18x plus 2x minus 12. I put them in that order so that I know they're going to have something in common. Would it have worked if I'd written them the other way? Maybe. But this way I know for sure that I've got them by something that they have in common. Once you get your 4 pieces there, then you're grouping them up 2 by 2. Okay, what does the first group have in common? 3 and an x. Everybody agree? So 3 and an x will go outside them. Now we just divide both of those by that. 3 divided by 3 is 1. What's x squared divided by x? X. Got a minus sign. What's 18 divided by 3? 6. And then x divided by x is 1. So you could put 6 times 1, but that's the same as 6. Second group. 2x minus 12. What do they have in common? 2. Positive 2. If I divide that, what's 2x divided by 2? 1x. What's negative 12 divided by 2? That's the hardest part. What we just did right there was the difficult part. Everybody catching on a little quicker yet? Now we got that plus sign there. Last time it was a minus sign, but we got a plus sign here that's splitting this thing into 2 parts. These big 2 parts both have something in common. What do we see on both sides? X minus 6. So we write that out. Now if I took an x minus 6 away from the left, what's left? 3x. But not a kid, Kylie's catching on. Okay, so you factored, you did the hard work. Now you just got to finish it out and solve it.
X minus 6 equals 0.
We didn't get to that kind yesterday.
Well, all of it yesterday,
You can't make up your mind. A minute ago you were talking about how easy factoring was.
Yeah, today it was easy, but whatever.
But it was before we even started. That's why I said y'all were bad at this yesterday. You were talking about how easy it is.
Well, because I didn't know that's what we were doing yesterday. Like after we did this first problem, like it made sense, but yesterday it made no sense for whatever reason. But today's easy.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What if you don't have the common, like 1x minus 6? You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Are we going to do one like that?
If what Brooklyn's talking about, when we get to that big section up there where I had been coloring them, if they don't have something in common there, I don't know if we'll have one today or not. What you would do, first thing is, you would look and see if you can reorder the way you put them in the middle to make them have something in common, which was why I was telling you to be careful when you wrote those, right? So that would be one thing you would do. If you still can't get it in there, then it would be one that you would have to solve another way. It wouldn't be factorable. So you'd have to go on to one of the ways that we're going to learn later in the week, probably the quadratic formula. Probably. Alright, I'm going to let you try one of those by yourself. I got. See here. don't think we, oh, that one's got a GCF, we'll do that one together in a minute. Let's do, we're almost factoring, I don't know. Find what it says by factoring. Yeah. Which one did we just see? This one says 2x squared equals x plus 3. Alright, see if you can solve that one by factoring. Go. Ms. Simmons sent an email that says, you can ask your students if someone lost a large amount of money in the parking lot. The student must know how much and the denominations of the bills in order to collect. So somebody's lost a lot of money. Just, yeah, hold on just a second. Just going to read this. Alright, what you got? Nowhere, because negative 18 plus 2 is negative 16. So instead of writing negative x, you write, and I would probably get, I'd put it like you said. So each of those could have 2 options. Just 5 of them.
The only thing that changes is your negative. So in your solution, one is just.
I think it'll be 32.
Yeah, yours also.
2 of the 5th. Because you got 2 choices on the first one times 2 choices on the second one times 2 choices on the third one times 2 choices on the fourth one times 2 choices.
That's not because you're not missing.
Now that's a guess. So there would be 6 times 6, that's however many times you want to roll it out. How many times are you going to roll it? 6 times 6 times 6 times 6.
And she put it in the like it says it's just
-3. Down there somewhere, because we don't have the same thing. Oh, okay. This is -3, you wrote it down as a +3. Because when you move that over, you subtracted it. Yeah, yeah. So it'll work out when you fix that sign. Well, you still gotta put down that, no, you still gotta put that -3 down there next from the previous line. So far. Now that's it. It's on, no, there's no way to put it there. Now put your groups, yep. Now take the GCF out of both groups. Well, you can have 2 options the first time you flip it. Times 2 options the second time you flip it. Times 2 options the third time you flip it. So it's just 2 equals 2. Pretty sure that's right.
Okay, so I got but I was going to either one exit.
Well, you should have taken an X out of that. They both have an X in common.
I would guess like this man. Wouldn't be so organized.
Okay, right here, this 3 doesn't have an X. So you can't take a 3X out. You'll just take a 3 out because they both don't have an X. So that one would just be a 3 down through there. Yes. Yes. Would you like to? We'll see how we're doing this. Okay, first thing I did was rewrote it in standard form. So I had 2x squared minus x minus 3 equals 0. Did you get standard form good?
Yes.
All right. After that, I did a times c, and I got -6. Did you get a times c right? Okay. This way, if we messed up along the way, we can fix it. Then I listed my factors of a times c, which would have been 1 and -6, -1 and 6. 2 and -3, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Because I got to add the -1. Okay? Then I'm going to substitute those in because that is the same as -1. I'm going to substitute them in for the -1x. So that's going to give me 2x squared. And since this one's got a 2 first, I'm going to put my factor of 2 first. So plus 2x minus 3x minus 3 equals 0. Okay? After I did that, I had 4 terms. I don't know how to factor 4 terms, so I got to group them. 2 to 2. What do I see as my GCF in that first group?
2x.
The 2 and an x. They both have a 2 and they both have an x. If I divide that, 2 divided by 2 is 1. What's x squared divided by x?
1x.
1x. I got a plus sign. Uh-oh. 2x divided by 2x. What's something divided by itself?
1.
1. Good job. Now, wanted to end up with an x plus 1 in the other parentheses, so what, I know it's a 3, but what kind of 3 do I need to take out? A negative, good job. Now this 3 on the back side here doesn't have an x, so I'm just taking out the 3, that's it. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 makes it a positive 1, and it's still got an x up there. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 makes that a positive 1. Good deal. What do both sides have in common now? An x plus 1. That left out a 2x and a minus 3. Solve that dude. X plus 1 is 0. Gets me negative 1. 2x minus 3 is 0. Gets me 2x is 3. Divide by 2. And x is 3 halves or 1.5. That's it. How'd you do? 2 thumbs up. I like it. I like it. I like it. Alright, let's look. I saw one more I wanted to show you today.
Is it like the same?
It is both. It's got a different step to it. But it's, oh, thank you. I got watching several clocks. This one says 2x squared plus 6x equals negative 4. Alright, is it in standard form? Add the 4, so that gets me 2x squared
That's
plus
right.
6x plus 4, yes?
Can I get Kylie Moore for a moment?
Yes,
Thank you.
Miss Simmons. Now, this one's got a new step here. What do I notice about that? Good, they've got something in common already. All of those have a 2 I can divide out. Okay? So if I divide a 2 out, it leaves me with an x squared plus a 3x plus a 2. I divided that whole thing by 2. Okay, now when I start to solve this in a little bit, yeah, I took a 2 out, but I don't care about it anymore. Because if I start setting these factors equal to 0, does 2 equal 0? No. So that's a dummy answer. It's out. All I'm worried about is the trinomial. And that's the easy kind of trinomial because its a is 1. Right? That's what we started the day off with. A times c, 1 times 2 is 2. Factors of 2 that add to 3. It's 2 and 1. So you don't have to do the grouping because your a is 1. This is the easy kind, right? X plus 2 times x plus 1. Good, right? Didn't have to do that long stuff. Solve them both. No, because it's like how a fraction reduces.
Okay.
So those would be your 2 answers on that. Good job.
So where's the square go? Like, I'm missing everything.
Normally, if you were to multiply that, x times x is x squared.
Oh, that's back to the.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, nice job on that. Moving on tomorrow.